Hey YouTube, Dawson Ryder here. Time to talk about everyone's favorite topic again, MMPR, as we have our sort of first look, first teaser at the Reignition line. We got a logo a little while back, and funnily enough, based on that, I just made a video recently that's supposed to come out this weekend talking about like the MMPR popularity, whether it's warranted or not. You know, I'm probably going to touch over some of the same things. I'm going to try to hold it back just because that video is coming out like in a day and a half or something like that. Well, let's talk about the look first, and then we can dive into a little bit about, you know, all that controversy. But the look is pretty much exactly what you'd expect. Like when we first heard about this line, I had speculation and like ideas of what they could do, but I assumed it was going to be very season 1 leaning and using the exact same branding we'd expect, like no new logo or anything like that. And everything we've seen so far and heard so far is kind of exactly the most generic thing you could think of, you know, very season 1 leaning. You know, of course you have the Reignition part, but the logo is the same, the colors and vibes are the same, and the silhouettes look like about what you'd expect. It's kind of hard to tell, but they kind of look like a weird hybrid between the figures we just got with Hasbro, not the Lightning Collection ones, but the basic ones, the action heroes, and the 4-inch line. And by that I just mean they don't look like they're beefcake figures, but they don't look like they're going to be the most accurate proportions. Again, it's really hard to tell. At least Red's like head looks like it's going to be more normal than that weird Go-Juger one that's coming out for Tyranno Ranger. I can just tell from the silhouettes, and maybe I'll be proved wrong, that it looks like they're going to have those kind of famously inaccurate proportions. Like I was just talking about that. Maybe it was in that video I filmed. It's hard to tell because I wind up talking about this a lot. Maybe it was the Go-Juger video, but I was talking about how funny it is that the Jew Rangers have the most figures made out of them probably, and yet certain helmets just never get done quite right. Like it's okay if they're not perfect, but it's insane like how long it took us to get that right. Blue in particular just looks like it's going to have funny proportions, and they're obviously not going to be the figures for the most accuracy like a Lightning figure, and supposedly they're brainstorming or working on maybe a collector's line, so this isn't what you're going to be going for. It's not going to be a collector's thing. And they have like giant blade blasters on them, so that's going to look a little bit funnily proportioned. So these are your basic, you know, basic line figures. And I think they will look pretty good. Like I don't think they'll look too cheap. I think they'll be pretty well painted. As I've stated before, you know, I've had pretty good luck with the Playmates toys that I have collected with the Turtle stuff and the Ben 10 stuff. So yeah, it's the original 6 Rangers. You can tell by the silhouette. Looks like pretty much what you'd expect. Like absolutely no surprises. I am curious to see what they look like when they're fully unveiled because like I said, it looks like they might have some strange proportions, or if they're going to tease anything else, because I think this is going to be fully unveiled at Toy Fair. You know, maybe they'll do a teaser silhouette for the Megazord toys that are supposedly separate individual toys. I think those are the only things they talked about. I don't think there's a Morpher in the first wave, although maybe we could see that at Toy Fair and they'll say it'll come out later, but we'll have to see. And of course, this has reignited the exhausting conversation of why MMPR. We know why it's MMPR. We know why, at the very least, acknowledge why they think it's the most marketable one. And I'm going to talk about this more in that video from past me, but just to touch on a couple things. I am curious how this line will do, because I still do believe that it's still the most recognizable one amongst all the different sections of the fandom. There is nothing currently ongoing, and while I believe that there's more kids that know what MMPR is than you'd think because it's always used as the face of the brand, I just can't imagine there being excitement for kids to pick this up when there's no ongoing show or product to buy. So I do think it's a weird pick. Because of all that stuff, with that possible series and everything in this is just such a weird time to put this out. Like, I would almost wait to see what you're going to do first before you try toys. Maybe this is a product of Hasbro making this deal before they started making a deal with Paramount possibly, because it just feels weird to do this now. Like I said, if there's an animated series or something on the horizon, I would wait until there's actually a product to promote. Because at this point in time, I don't think MMPR is not going to generate interest cold from especially the street youths. So I don't know. I just think that's very weird timing. So I think there's a chance it could flop just because of that. Not because it would have been better if they chose SPD because it's the anniversary season. I think if they did that, it would flop hard. I really do. I really don't think any other season would be a good idea. I don't think this is necessarily a great idea either, but you can kind of see why they would look at it and be like, this is probably the safest thing we can do. There was an interesting comment last time I talked about this. I think it was with the logo saying they wouldn't do this unless there was something on the horizon, and then we know that there wasn't even an announcement. It was just kind of a strong rumor from a reliable source that the movie is in the works and possibly an animated series. I would be shocked if this was teeing up an animated series. You know, it wouldn't be entirely impossible that they could do an animated series called MMPR Reignition. But I cannot think of a single show, and maybe I'm wrong. I mean, probably I'm wrong because there's so many shows I don't know about. But I can't think of a single show or movie that was announced via a toy line. That would just be so weird. I mean, I guess they could base it off of it later. I don't know. Maybe that would be a good idea. But I feel like something like this would be a better idea if they did do the animated series, do an animated series based off of MMPR, hopefully with the level of writing from Boom or something, but regardless of what the writing is, have something out there because that gives you reason to buy it. Because I think the only people that would have reason to buy MMPR stuff outside of the hardcore fans, which obviously have made it no secret they're sick of it, and also, like, we've had so many opportunities to get figures. Like, the Lightning Collection and Hasbro's basic figures weren't that long ago. It's not like there was a huge gap. If there was a huge gap, I could see it being like, oh, I missed my chance or whatever. But it's like, I know some of them are going for pretty expensive now, I think especially the Tommy figures, but it just wasn't that long ago. So like a lot of the hardcore fans already got it. And then the casual fans, I think also Lightning Collection and all kinds of MMPR merch wasn't that long ago that if you were a casual, nerd and you're walking down Target and you're like, I watched MMPR when I was a kid, I'm going to pick up this Jason figure. I think that was recent enough. And I don't know, I know that they do some classic figures for Turtles and stuff that are right next to the Rise toys in the toy aisles. Maybe kids will pick that up because they just like Turtles and they see a different variant, but they also very much so have the recent product there that has an actual show. So, I don't know. I'm at the point where the complaining about the MMPR is more annoying than them using MMPR because it's just like, we know the reasons why, and the fandom is like, well, me and my 5 friends don't like this, so obviously that's the whole world's opinion. I mean, I don't know. See how it does. I really think that MMPR is the safest bet for branding for a lot of reasons, but I also think that for a toy line like this specifically, it's very weird because it's targeted towards kids at a time where there's absolutely nothing active MMPR outside of the comics, but that's not even traditional MMPR anymore. That video is coming out this weekend where I talk about how, basically the point of that video, MMPR is the most recognizable, but it might not be the most popular. And you'll see what I mean when I get to that video. Also, just for those few of you that care, today's video was supposed to be the 4th episode review of the Red Ranger Adventurer series, and that got pushed. That review is going to be uber late. It'll come out tomorrow. I'm sorry about that. It's partly because I pushed it also so I could do that SPD video, but I am still covering that series. But anyways, guys, look forward to that video. Until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell to get notifications for more videos like this and more. Dawson Ryder, signing out.